60th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, and it's an honor to have Abayome joining us all the way from Detroit, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Comrade Meyer. I want to extend my profound greetings to everyone in Providence, Rhode Island who is attending this very important event. I want to send greetings on behalf of all of the people in Detroit who are fighting on a daily basis to make things better here in this country and indeed around the world. My name is Abayome Azikwe. I am the editor of the Pan-African Newswire. It is an electronic international press service that is designed to provide information on the history, the politics, and the culture of African people internationally. I'm also a contributing editor to Workers' World newspaper, which comes out every week. In the latest issue, which came out yesterday, I have an article talking about the situation in Charleston, South Carolina, placing it within an historical context, evoking the profound and heroic legacy of Mother Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church that was attacked last week on June the 18th, where 9 African Americans were massacred in cold blood by a white racist who was motivated by white supremacy and by pure hate. This was an ideological racist. This attack was not just against the people at Mother Emanuel Church or the African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina, or the state of South Carolina. It was an attack on the African American people as a whole. It was an attack on all oppressed people, on all politically conscious and socially aware people throughout the length and breadth of the United States. In this article, I talk about the history of the formation of the AME Church some 200 plus years ago. This church was founded as a form of resistance against slavery. This is very important to recognize. The church was started in Philadelphia. The Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina, was the third AME church that was formed in the United States in 1818. So we're talking about an institution that is nearly 2 centuries old, that was founded as an act of resistance against enslavement of African people, and that South Carolina, as a colony under the British and later as a state under the U.S. Empire, has been a source of exploitation of African people for centuries. So I want to encourage people to read that article and get some insight into the resistance against racism, enslavement, and national oppression going back nearly 2 centuries. In 1822, one of the co-founders of the Mother Emanuel AME Church was Denmark Vesey, also known as Telemachus. He was born in the Danish colony of St. Thomas in the late 1700s. He was sold to a slave owner who took him then to Santo Domingo, which today we know as Haiti. Then he was brought to the state of South Carolina during the 1790s. He was a co-founder of the Mother Emanuel Church. In 1822, along with his other comrades, were accused of plotting a massive insurrection on the part of the enslaved Africans. He was arrested in 1822. He and many others, they were subjected to a secret trial, and then they were hung in a matter of weeks, 35 of them, for plotting insurrection. Then, after they were killed, a whole new round of arrests took place. More people were executed, and more people were driven out of the state of South Carolina. South Carolina was founded in mass extermination of the indigenous people and the mass enslavement of African people. It was a huge slave plantation. And even today, some 200 years later, the people of South Carolina are still very oppressed. The African population there constitutes a substantial portion of the overall population. It is still the center of low-wage capitalist employment and super exploitation and institutional racism. So irrespective of what the governor there says, that South Carolina is a loving community, then why do they have a Confederate flag flying outside the state capitol?
Yeah.
So the struggle against racism continues into the 21st century. And this brings us to our topic this evening, and that is the recognition of the 60th anniversary of the Freedom Charter. The Freedom Charter came out of the mass struggle for national independence of the African people of South Africa. It was formed as a result of what was known as the Congress of the People that took place in Kliptown, South Africa on June 25th and June 26th. It was a natural political evolution that began with intensity some 3 years before that with what was known as the Defiance Campaign. The Defiance Campaign against unjust laws. It was a mass struggle of civil disobedience that swept various parts of South Africa against the dreaded pass laws, against the dreaded police brutality, the super exploitation of African people in the mining industry, in the agricultural industry, in the service industry. And this defiance campaign began in 1952. Thousands upon thousands of people put their lives on the line to defy the segregation and other forms of humiliation and degradation that the African people were subjected to in South Africa. This went on between 1952 and 1956, when it was crushed by the racist apartheid system. It was in 1953 that we had the passage of the Bantu Education Act, which further institutionalized segregated education in South Africa. 5 years prior to the drafting of the Freedom Charter, you had what was known as the Suppression of Communism Act. In 1950, it outlawed the Communist Party of South Africa as it was known then. Now it's known as the South African Communist Party. So in 1955, there was a gathering in Kliptown that involved thousands of people. And coming out of the Defiance Campaign, a broad-based alliance was established. You had the African National Congress, which had been in existence for some 40 years as a national liberation movement. You also had